Hari Om. Let's start with a prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitattvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakhatvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. We are looking at the fundamentals of Advaita Vedanta so that we have a clear understanding what exactly Advaita Vedanta, because every Acharya says their philosophy is better than other philosophies. So therefore we should know why Advaita Vedanta is more real or more about the truth, and we are interested only in the truth, not in terms of trying to understand which is better theory and all that. So we want to know what is the real truth. So what is the real truth is that which never undergoes any modification, and that alone is the truth, and that comes under Paramarthika Satyam, that is the highest, and that is the absolute truth, and that alone is real. And the world is that continuously changing, and what I am experiencing is the world. So the very experience involves duality. That means there is a difference involved in the very experience itself, because there is an experiencer and experience, and connection between the two, it's called experiencing. So it's called triad, or three aspects involved. This is Triputi. Triputi means triad, and this Triputi is always there: knower, known, knowing; seer, seen, seeing; hearer, hearing, and heard. All these things in every transactions, these three are coming, and in every action also, karta, karma, kriya. The karta is a doer, karma is action that he is doing, and kriya is the action itself. So there is a difference in these transactions, and this seems to be my experience from birth all the way to the death. So this seems to be the whole life itself is in this level, and the question where Advaita says that which is beyond, or scripture itself says that which is changeless alone is real, and I can see anything, nothing is real here. But I am assuming this world is real because I need, when I am hungry, don't give me theory, this is not real. So for transactionally, for hunger can only be satisfied by food, and I need to earn for food, and all my whole day is struggling, try to keep myself that I need a food, I need a shelter, I need a security, and life itself is going, trying to give so that I can keep my head above the waters. And if you look at the life of all beings, millions and millions of people, this is a struggle, and that is true for any being, not only human beings, animals. It says day in and day out, they look for their food, look for a shelter, and they want security. And that seems to be the whole life pattern itself. And this seems to be real life. And the so-called reality we cannot know. In fact, you can never know Brahman, because Brahman is infinite. Infinite cannot be an object of knowledge also. So a knowledge also cannot be known, Brahman cannot be known, and you say this is what Vedanta is trying to point out. How can it be? So we have a materialistic attitude from one side. On the other side, there is a criticism of Advaita Vedanta, even from the Vedantins who accept Brahman, which is infinite, at the same time do not accept that avidya is a cause of a problem. Avidya cannot create, and they have a Maya. They accept Maya as a Parameshwara Shakti, but Maya is not same as avidya. So all these things are being questioned from both from the materialistic point and both from the point of the scriptural point by the other darshanikas or philosophers. What is real? What is physics? What is metaphysics? The word metaphysics is being you understand that which cannot be the realm of the physical reality. And metaphysics itself is, there is a lot of confusion. If you go to Google's and ask for metaphysics, you get all sorts of definitions about what constitutes metaphysics. Is existence comes under metaphysics, or existence comes under physics, or what exactly means by existence? And there is an ontology. Ontology means the reality, and what is comes under reality also being discussed in the Vedanta. But in the other philosophers also discuss about the ontological aspects. But what exactly is the Vedantic statement is, we have very clear statement, is Brahman alone is real. Now the question that is this: how can I be Brahman? How can this world be Brahman? That's also being pointed out, and how one became into many also being pointed out. That's why the scripture becomes a pramana for us. So how did the creation? The creation comes is essentially in understanding what exactly means by the creation. It is a transformationless transformation. So in terms of transformations, say, understand there are two types of transformations. One is the vivarta, another is called parinama. Vivarta is transformationless transformation, that is from the Advaitic point, and parinama is the destructive transformation. And these two are different. And even the acharyas, they favor depending upon the philosophical position. From Advaitic point, it is a transformationless transformation, because Brahman cannot undergo any transformation, because the Brahman being infinite. But I see the creation, therefore it is a transformationless transformation, and the scripture itself provides an example for that, and we went through. Essentially, it is gold becoming into many ornaments, or the clay becoming into many pots, or the iron, wrought iron becoming into any tools. Yada saumya ekena lohamanina sarvam lohamayam vignata vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam lohamicheva satyam. Yada saumya ekena mritpindena nunmayam vignata vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam mrittikicheva satyam. Yada saumya ekena nakanakintanena sarvam lohamayam vignata. And Vacharambhanam vikaro namadeyam krishnaya samityayo satyameva. So all these things have been defined in terms of what exactly is the reality here, and that has to be understood also. So therefore, when we're talking about what is the transformation, it is a transformationless transformation that's called a vivartava. Whereas the parinama means completely destructive transformation is called parinama. So destructive transformation example is milk becoming into a yogurt. That means the milk get destroyed and become yogurt. That means it's an irreversible transformation. It's called destructive transformation. So this creation, is it a parinama or vivarta? So the scripture is providing through examples, it's only vivarta, and that's called vacharambhanam vikaraha. It's only namke vaste, or it's only namesake, it is only becoming many. So apparently many, but still it is same Brahman appears to be many. So how can it be appear to many? That's exactly what being defined, just as the gold becoming into many ornaments. So scripture is providing, it is essentially a vivartam. Vivartam means a transformationless transformation. And there is also a parinamam involved, where after transformationless transformation, if one object becoming into other object. So within the creation, I can have a parinama. Parinama means destructive transformation. For example, the gold becoming onto varieties of ornaments is called vivarta. That means transformationless transformation. But once the ring has formed, I can change the ring into a bangle, and when the ring changes into a bangle, ring is destroyed in becoming in a bangle. That's called parinamam. So therefore, there is a destructive transformation within the creation. There is the transformationless transformation from the point of totality. So both are involved and has to be understood at what level we are discussing. From the point of within the creation, one transforming into the other, it's called the parinamam, whereas the creation from the absolute to many is called vivarta. And that is what Advaitic position is. Whereas the other acharyas For example, Ramanuja also thinks in terms of one becoming many in some form, essentially because it has already in him, there is in the Swarupam, the Lord has already Jivas and Jagat as a part of him. So in the infinite, he is differentiating parts there, because there are, each Jiva is tiny, is Anupramanam. That means it is smaller than the atom size, and there is a Jagat, which is a matter also there, together constituting the Lord, which is the Virat Swarupa that we see in the 10th chapter. So from the Brahman point, Brahman is one, but there are internal differences in the Brahman. So there is a Sajati, Vijati Beda agreed, but not Swagata Beda. Swagata means internal differences are there in the totality. So I have infinite, but infinite with finite things inside. That from the point of logic it is illogical, but that's what he claims, that is what the scripture is saying. Therefore, it's not the logic, but it's the scriptural statement, but this is essentially axiomatic statement. But we also have to know that in the scriptures there are two types of statements, and therefore from which point you take main point as the essence of the teaching and other ones a subsidiary. So they're called Vedavakyas and Abedavakyas. Vedavakya means the differences in the creation as though their essential nature is also discussed in the scriptures. There is Abheda means in spite of differences there is a unity that pervades everything, and that is one without any distinctions of any kind is also there. So say Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So that from the point of Brahman it is beyond any creation, any differentiation of any kind. So that also is there. So which point one takes, Aham Brahmasmi is there, and Tattvamasi statement is also there. So in what way one interprets that depending upon which of the scriptural statement you give more emphasis, since both statements are there. So when I reject one statement and say this is correct, is only one interpretation of what makes more correct from his point. Then so there is a model is assumed, and from that model one criticizes the other models because they do not agree, because this is the essence that they claim. So one has to be careful on what basis they are arguing. So when they quote scriptures, they quote only the Veda Vakyas as essential, and then criticize the Abheda statements of as not valid as an absolute. So for them the different statements of differentiation or Veda Vakyas are important, and other Veda Vakyas are secondary. It's only glorifying statement. Says glorifying statement says, hey, you are a tiger among the people. It's not a literal statement. You say means you are a leader of the among, you are a lion among the people. So that means it's a leadership quality is being glorified as though. So therefore Aham Brahmasmi is all the statements of glorification only, but the reality is you are only tiny guy who is a part of the total Ishvara. So all that is implied in terms of this. So they interpret those Abheda Vakyas suitably to meet their total model that they have. From the Advaita point is what they take. Abheda Vakya is only called Adhyara Apavada statement. That means they are initially is required to prepare the mind. Until the mind is prepared, then you go one more step where you have to drop that and recognize. And this is essentially in the Kena Upanishad, a teaching goes on. This is until then there is a upasana, there is a Lord out there, and you have to do prayers and karma yoga. All that is applied, and where I am worshipping the Lord in a particular form, invoking the Lord and all that. But once you come to Vedanta, it says, Yat chakshusha na pasyati, na chakshum se pasyati, tadeva brahma tvam viddhi, nedam yadidam upasate. Nedam yadidam upasate. Na idam, not this what you are worshipping is Brahman. Now leave that one. You need that as a tool And until you prepare the mind, once the mind is prepared, now you have to go to the next level and you have to drop all these notions about the reality to what all things that you have been doing in terms of prayers, karma yoga, all that. You have to drop it and they'll go to next level of beyond, where this is what is Brahman. This is Nedam Yadidam Upasate. Not this what you are worshipping is Brahman. Then what is Brahman? Yat Chakshusha Napasyati, that eyes cannot see. Yat Chakshusha Napasyati, Yena Chakshum Sapasyati, that because of which eyes can see. So that capacity because of which I can see. Yes, Samidhi Matrena. That's what we did before in the Viveka Sudamani. Says just by mere presence, the matter becomes so active. Because of that, I can see and I can hear. But what exactly that because of that life is, even the material sciences cannot tell what it is. But yet, that is what I can see, and I can even blink my hand, I can lift my hand, I can blink my eyes, or I can talk, I can listen. All those phenomena, all the physiological functions are being operated because of the presence of very life itself, and we don't know what that life is. So before we criticize any philosopher, first material scientists first understand what exactly life really means, and without knowing it, what consciousness really means, and he's trying to dismiss all other as only belief system. So one has to be very careful in applying this. So essentially it says that these Abheda Vakyas and the Veda Vakyas, Advaita Vedanta gives importance to Abheda Vakyas because it's more scripturally valid statement, and these are called Mahavakyas, where the identity of the Jiva and the totality is being identified. So therefore, what is the cause for the creation, and why there is so many, and why I see this is the reality and I don't see the reality absolute, because absolute reality cannot be seen, cannot be known, and it is neither pratyaksha nor paroksha. So it is called aparoksha jnanam. It is a knowledge neither directly visible through the five senses or somewhere beyond the senses as the paroksha, but it is aparoksha. It is immediate, direct, at the same time not directly seen, because it's your own self, and that's what is the jnanam that's being imparted. So all that is implied in the Advaita Vedanta. So when you're talking about the Advaita Vedanta and the Parinamavada and the Vivartavada, we have to understand what exactly Vivarta. It is a transformationless transformation. Therefore, I have to understand within the transformation that are occurring in the world where there is a Parinamavada, I have to see there must be something which is changeless in the changing things. That has to be implied in the Vivartavada, because himself is one and these changes within that will not affect that one. So the knowledge should be in order to see or recognize that which is changeless in all the changing things. I had to see which is changeless, which is the Vivarta, and in the changes which is Parinama. And that's why we need a Viveka. Viveka is a discriminative intellect in all this. That's what law of conservation is. Law of conservation is even in all the changes, there has to be a changeless entity in all the changing things. So when the ring becomes a bangle, or a bangle becomes into necklace, there is a destructive transformation. Ring is destroyed and bangle is born. Bangle is destroyed, bracelet is born. But in these transformations which are parinama, means destructive transformations, there is a vivarta also. There is apparent transformation which is non-destructive, a transformationless transformation. That is, the gold in the form of a ring still remains as a gold only in the form of a bangle. It only changed the form, but in essence it remains the same. Therefore, there is no transformation from the point of gold. It's only transformationless transformation. From the absolute point, there is no real transformation. So what is real, what is apparent has to be known in this, and that is what is called the Vivarta. And therefore an Advaitic tradition is what we are talking about. Advaita is absolute science, in the sense that when there is a transformation of the Jagat from continuously changing, there has to be something which is changeless in all these changes. That's the law of conservation. What is the changeless in the changing entity? In the case of a bangle and a ring, we can say it is a transactional, we know it's a gold. But in the case of the world, what is that which is changeless in the changing entity? And that itself is the reference from which the whole changes has to be. And that itself is nothing but Brahman. And because Brahman is infinite and the creation is also infinite, we don't know what the limit of the space is, because there cannot be any boundary to the space. If there is a boundary to the space, then there has to be something, and what is there in the other side of the space. And if there is something, that has to be space only. So therefore, space is infinite and it is subtle and it cannot be even seen also. That also has to be understood. But therefore, everything within the creation seems to be within the space and the time and vastu. Vastu means object-wise difference. So, desha kala vastu parichinnatvam says that which is differentiating one object to other object, so spatially limited, time-wise limited, and object-wise also limited. That means this object is different from that object, and therefore attributes are different. Just as ring is different from a bangle, and this ring is different from other ring. So all these individual attributes are differentiate the objects inside, but continuously in all this there has to be a changeless, and that is called adhishtanam. Adhishtanam means that which remains changeless and which provides the very basis for it, and that from which it came, that by which it sustained, and into which it goes back. And that's how the Brahman is also being defined, and that we will take up in the next talk. We'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.